Hello, everyone. We are back, and today we are talking with Dean Mahoney, who is going to be our sound designer for this production. Those of you who tuned into our radio play Christmas Carol have gotten to hear some of Dean's fabulous work. We are very, very lucky to have him. So, Dean, my first question for you today is, what made you want to be a part of this particular project with Greenwood Lake Theater?
All right, well, two reasons. First things first, I'm a local. I grew up in Greenwood Lake and I studied theater elsewhere. But, when I came back home and, started living here full time, I was like, oh, well, I need theater. And this company just showed up that was equity. They treat their actors with respect. They treat their tech members with respect. And it's such a great thing to have that I needed to be a part of it. Secondarily, I've had a lot of experience in site specific theater. So doing that is actually, I don't know, it's kind of a passion of mine, and getting to do something like this with these folks and kind of navigating all those challenges, it's actually really fun. And it's like kind of a great opportunity to kind of, put your, I don't know, just test yourself out to see what you can really do with like a certain kind of resource in a certain kind of space.
Well, I'm super excited to see what you come up with. So Dean has been very patient with me on various projects we have worked on together. I don't know anything about sound design, and Dean will tell you that.
Hey, not nothing. All right.
I know very little about sound design. So Dean, what are first couple steps in creating something like this, working from the ground up?
So first off, usually when it's not like a devised piece that we're kind of putting together, you start with just reading the script up and down. You're like, okay, well, what's here? What practical sound effects already exist in the script? And then you build off of that. You build kind of like almost your audio Pinterest board of like, oh, well, this is what this sounds like. You take little clips, you take sound effects, and you just kind of list them out in like a folder. And then you start looking at the practical application of them. You're like, okay, well, what should this sound like when this is happening? Like you go to rehearsals, you watch people do it, you see what you hear in the kind of oral palette, and then you see the best way to kind of bring it forward and show exactly what it is that you're trying to communicate. And really, you serve the script. It's just like acting. The sound is another voice.
Oh, well, it sounds very simple when you describe it. I know it's not.
The tech stuff gets difficult, but like the practicality of it, just serve the script. Just do what the script needs.
Okay. So, well, you've worked with us before, but this is a new thing for all of us.
Oh yeah.
I've definitely never worked on anything like this before. Greenwood Lake Theater has never crafted an original work before. Mm-hmm. We got a lot of uncharted territory here. So, what do you anticipate as being the most challenging thing about your job for this production?
So, I think that the most challenging thing about my job will probably be in how we reinforce the sound. So, there's a lot of ways you can do it, and unless we're buying like, giant spools of cable that we're like hardwiring in and doing crazy things to get like one central hub, like, that's run by a big board, it's too much. So
you see my producer eyes getting really big.
I see them expanding most of my screen. But no, basically it's just about finding the right ways to do it. And I think that honestly, with a lot of practical effects, being like, things banging or like church bells or all that stuff, we might actually be able to create an oral palette that feels very unique to the production itself. Plus the combination of like, look, the future is now. We all have cell phones that can play sounds. So the potential for using mobile sound that actors even carry around with them is very exciting to me. It's got a really cool thing going on.
I'm not even in the show, but I volunteer as tribute to put my phone in my pocket and serve as a sound cue if you need me.
You're basically all my living sound cues. I'm
Great.
playing it.
Well, and I'm super excited. Like as a producer, as somebody like help creating this piece, I love the idea of practical sound cues because of the time period. Truthfully, I feel like anything we can do that's something that feasibly could have actually been heard in 1692 in Salem, Massachusetts, I feel like that just helps put the audience in a place and in a time. And I love that.
And also, I mean, the effective use of silence itself as your tool in things like this is really crucial. You know, like where
Yeah.
you might think in a movie, some like big swell in music has to happen when something happens. In reality, especially in theater, like when you drop the sound out, it implies a lot more. So, like, in fact, the absence of sound is something we can use more so than the sound itself. You know, what happens when the banging the nails in stops and you can hear everything and everything's dead quiet?
This is why it's your job and not mine.
It's
Just
going to be cool.
like I guess we just play some music the whole time. I don't.
No, 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 no. We will not be using a Spotify playlist.
You don't even know what sweet Puritan tunes I had lined up, Dean. You don't even
I,
know.
I really want to hear them now, though.
No, it's a work in progress. um, so, um, um, so what? Okay, we talked about some challenges, and definitely, I think there will be some of those.
Oh, yeah, we'll get there.
We will. What are you most excited about?
Honestly, I'm most excited to see this thing that's so like amorphous right now get up on its feet. Like I can't wait for the first day we actually have actors walking through their tracks. Like that is going to be the coolest thing for me of like, oh wow, this is the material part of it. It's like we're here, we're doing it. Now how does it work? You know, like once we actually figure that out, all of the reinforcement stuff gets super interesting. And also it gets easier because we're sitting here making hypotheticals, but the minute you actually get in the space and you see people moving, it's great. Like you know what you need to do.
I'm like, cool for you. You haven't been sitting there drawing maps with little people for months.
It's important. It's necessary.
I had a big poster board on my dining room table and just like little pieces of papers with characters' names, and I was like moving them around like a crazy person.
Like playing Dungeons and Dragons with yourself, like
but like you have to start somewhere and be like, hey, am I trying to put an actor in two places at one time, or am I asking them to sprint 50 yards in 2 seconds?
It's like just within the bounds of human possibility. That's all.
Right. And fortunately, the answer most of the time was, oh, yeah, this sort of makes sense. There were a couple times I'm like, oh, look, I have that person in 2 places. Did that sound cue out, Dean? um, it's going to be great. We're going to have so much fun.
I think so, too. I can't wait to get this thing rolling,
I'm
I
really
haven't
excited.
even gotten a step in yet. So, like, once I can actually get in there and kind of, like, make some things happen, it's going to be really cool. I just can't wait,
I'm excited to see you fire sound cues in a Puritan costume.
No. See, and here's the thing. You might have had actors, like, running around, and that seems like a bit much. I'm going to be doing that. So if the Puritans have athleisure wear, perhaps?
They didn't so much do the athleisure trend, to my knowledge. I think it was a lot of like doublets and cloaks and things like that. How about a cloak?
Okay.
I can make you a nice cloak.
I will take a cloak.
Puritan athleisure.
I would like a cloak. A cloak with pockets would be great.
You have to have pockets.
Yeah.
I think everybody has to have pockets. Because practicality.
Definitely.
All right. Well, Dean, thank you very much for talking with me today. I'm very excited to see some of your work in this project because I know it's going to be brilliant and you're going to help transport all of us back to the 1690s.
We're going back to the witch hunt.
Woo!
Wait, you said 1690s? I thought it was the 1960s.
I'm interested. Show me what you got. We're gonna do a mashup, and I'm here for it.
All right.